All right, so I'm recording this on the 21st of February 2026, which means that it was yesterday when Adobe updated Lightroom, bringing with it generative upscale using Gigapixel from Topaz. So in this video, I'm going to show you how you can use it and everything that you need to know. But first, this. Now, if you love photography, love taking photographs and enjoy editing your images, then why not join us in the free photography community on School? It's a safe space for like-minded people with an active forum of thousands of members from all over the world where you can connect, hang out, learn and share. There's also a classroom, a members map and a member events page for events happening all over the world. There's no algorithms, no ads, none of that social media rubbish, but it's exactly how social media should be. On screen there's a link and a QR code, or you can simply click the link in the description of this video and we'll see you there. All right, so first of all, let me just go to the upper left-hand corner of Lightroom and go to where it says About Lightroom, just to show you the version I'm working on. This is version 9.2. This is the one that has the update of the generative upscale with Gigapixel from Topaz. So just close that down just there. Now, in Lightroom, we've been able to upscale images for quite some time using the super resolution technology, which is just here. That does have its limitations though. The first one being that we can only upscale 2x or 200%. And this is the big difference now between using super resolution and the Gigapixel from Topaz Labs, because that allows us to upscale 2 times or 4 times, but also on RAW files and other file formats. Okay, so that's the first thing to note about the difference just there. But let me just show you this image that I've got here. This is the one that I do want to upscale. And what I'll need to tell you first of all is that this image has been edited. So if I just press the / key, you can see there's before and there's after. So it's got some edits in there, and that's an important thing. You'll see why as we go through this, that when you do use this upscaling technology, use it on an image that you've edited, because it'll then produce another file. I'll cover that in a moment, but just so I want to get that point across to you just straight away. So let me just say that I want to now crop this image. I quite fancy having this as a square 1:1 crop. Before I do that, let's just check the size of this at the moment. I'll come down to the information button in the bottom right hand corner and click on that to bring up all the information about the actual image here. And in its current state, the out of camera crop that we've got just there, it's 5038 pixels by 7556. You can see it's a RAW file, and also actually to note as well that you'll see here I'm working in the local tab. This is the great thing again about Topaz. We can actually use this upscaling either in the local storage or in the cloud. Makes no difference whatsoever. Well, there is one difference, and I'll cover that in a moment. All right, so we know the dimensions just there. I'm going to go to the crop tool and we'll choose a 1:1 aspect ratio just there. And I'm going to actually crop this quite a lot. So if I hold down the Option key on Mac or Alt key on Windows, I'll drag the bottom right hand crop handle inwards so that it all comes in to the middle like so. And let's go for something like, maybe around about there will be good. All right, so now I've set the crop, I'll press Enter or Return to commit it. And there we go. Yeah, I'm quite liking that. Okay, so we're going to stick with that. But now what is the dimensions of this? So I'll just press I on my keyboard to bring up that information again. And you can see now, look, we're at 3047 pixels square. Alrighty, so now then I want to enlarge this image. Now to get to the generative upscale, the way that we can do that, there's 3 different ways. The first one being we can go to the photo menu and choose generative upscale just there. Or we could right click on our image and in the menu that pops up, we can see here, generative upscale. Or we could also, when in the grid view just here, you can right click on your image and there you'll see generative upscale. But I'll just go back to the normal view just here in the edit section. I'll right click and choose generative upscale. All right, so when we do that, we get this box here that appears. It tells us that we're using this partner model. It also tells us what this is going to do. And you can see here it says it improves the quality, sharpness and clarity of your images. And for best results, edit first, then upscale. And the result will be saved as a new DNG, which you'll see in a moment. Here we can see that we can upscale either 2 times or 4 times. And depending on what we choose here, it'll give us underneath here information about what the resulting image size will be in pixels and also in the actual file size here in megapixels. Now, what you can do, which is incredible, the actual final size, it can be up to a maximum of 65,000 pixels on the longest edge, which is absolutely huge. Now, we can see as well, look, it tells us how many generative credits are going to be used. And that's up to a maximum of 20 credits. So depending on the size, it'll either consume 10 or 20 with a maximum of 20 credits. Now, I'm going to upscale this one here by 4 times. So we'll go to click on that. You can see the dimensions just here and the megapixels just there of the file. And also, look, if I open up this little menu here, which I think is just fantastic addition, we now get to see a real-time account of what our balance is, our monthly generative credit balance. So that is just so good to see. I really hope we get to see this in Photoshop very, very soon. So we're going to go with that one just there. So anything else I need to do? I don't think so. All right, so I'm now going to click on upscale. Now, like I said, you can use this in the local storage or cloud storage, but regardless of which one you use, the actual processing for this is done in the cloud and then it returns it. So you can see the progress bar up here in the left-hand corner. So obviously we've got to be connected to the internet for this to work. And it'll take a short while just to process it and then come back. And I think this is really going to be dependent on your connection speed as to how quick this actually happens. All right, so that's now finished. I think that probably took around about 30 seconds or so. But if I just press the G to go to the grid view, we can see now, look, we've got 2 versions. This one here, you can see the file name is the original, but this one here, where it says Topaz Gigapixel 4X, is the one that's obviously been upscaled. If I just click on that to open it up and click on I to get the information, we can see all that there. And there you can see, look, the actual file format. And you'll see now, look, it's been returned as a DNG. Now, this is important to remember as well. Like I said at the start here, we can use this on RAW file formats and other file formats. But whatever file format you send up to be upscaled, when it returns it, it will return it as a DNG. So now we do have 2 versions. So we've got our original image here, which contains all of our edits, which we can obviously adjust in Lightroom. And the actual upscaled version, this one here, has now got all of the edits baked in. So if I go to the edit section just here and click on the masking, there's nothing in there at all. So they've all been baked in. But the great thing is we still have access to our original edited image. So let's have a look now then. So here's our upscaled image. Let's just press I on the keyboard just to see the dimensions. And you can see now, look, 12,188 pixels square. Now, there was something else I mentioned there about the fact that we can use it with images in cloud or in local storage. But there is one difference if you use the upscaling on an image that is in the cloud. So let me just show you that. So I'll click over to the cloud storage here where I've got the image. And let's just do that crop. We'll go to the crop tool and we'll just, again, just go for that 1:1. And I'll just drag it in like so. Alrighty, so let's say now we wanted to upscale this one. I'll go to the photo menu and choose generative upscale. Now, everything here is identical with one difference, and that is when we actually upscale images that are already stored in the cloud, we have this option to create a stack. So we could just put a tick in there, and rather than giving us a new file alongside the original there in like the thumbnail view, it'll create a stack so everything's nice and tidy and all kept organized. Now, this is going to be great for using on images like I've just done now, where you've done quite a tight crop. You're going to be able to upscale the image and still maintain great detail and clarity and sharpness. But also it's good to use on maybe low resolution scans or maybe some files that you've got from older cameras. You could improve those images using this technology as well. But just looking across to my other screen here, I've got a little checklist of things I want to make sure I remember that I tell you is that you can use it in the cloud or local storage. All the processing is done in the cloud, so you do need to have an internet connection when you are using this. You can use it on RAW and other file formats. It'll use either 10 or 20 credits with a maximum of 20 credits, depending on the size of the upscaling that's going on there. 65,000 pixels on the longest size is the maximum. And it creates a new DNG file regardless of what file format that you send up. And you'll be able to see there in that file format, it'll tell you that you use Gigapixel on it. It'll tell you what upscaling you did, be it 2 times or 4 times. But most importantly of all, do this on an image that you've already edited, because you'll see there that it bakes in those settings. So you do want to have access to edits later on. If you need to change anything, do it at the end. You'll keep your original. You'll have just a version there that's been upscaled, so you've always got access to change it. But that's it. That is the new generative upscale using Gigapixel from Topaz, now in Lightroom version 9.2.